It was supposed to be just another hard day. Another day of counting coins. Another day of pretending everything was fine. Another day of praying that God would somehow make a way. But he didn't know that before the sun set, a stranger would place a gentle hand on his shoulder and quietly whisper, "I'll cover it all." This story begins in a small, quiet town, the kind where everyone knows everyone, but not everyone knows what others are secretly going through. Mark was a young father of two, a man who worked long hours at a small hardware store and still walked home tired, but hopeful that one day things would get better. Hopeful that one day his kids wouldn't notice how many meals he skipped. Hopeful that God was still listening. His wife, Sarah, had been unwell for months. Medical bills sat like silent mountains on their dining table. Every evening Mark would open them, look at the numbers, and quietly close them again. He never raised his voice. He never complained. But every night while Sarah slept, he would hold his head in his hands and whisper, "God, just give me strength for tomorrow." When Friday morning, Mark's old pickup truck refused to start. He turned the key once, twice, again. Nothing. He sat there, forehead pressed against the steering wheel. He couldn't afford repairs. He couldn't miss work. His boss had already warned him last week. So Mark did the only thing he could. He walked 5 miles in worn-out shoes, hoping the soles would last just one more day. By noon, the store was busy. Customers came and went, and Mark kept working, even when he felt dizzy from skipping breakfast again. But the real blow came at 3 p.m. His manager called him to the back office, a small room with flickering lights and a smell of old paper. "Mark," the manager sighed, "I know things are tough for you, but sales are down, and we have to cut hours." "How many?" Mark asked softly. "Half, maybe more." Mark nodded slowly. He didn't argue. He didn't break. He just whispered, "Okay, thank you for telling me." But his heart felt like it was collapsing. As he walked home that evening, the wind felt colder than usual. His legs ached, his feet burned, and every step felt heavier than the last. When he finally reached the small grocery store near his neighborhood, he checked his wallet, hoping, praying, that the little money he had would at least buy dinner for his kids. He picked up a bag of rice, some eggs, a small carton of milk. His hands trembled. He kept calculating the total in his head. At the checkout counter, the cashier scanned the items. She said softly, "That'll be $18.47. Mark froze. He only had 14s. He slowly removed the milk, forcing a smile. "And now?" he asked. $13.09. He nodded. He had enough, barely. But when he reached into his wallet, he realized something awful. The $10 bill he thought he had was gone. Maybe it fell out on the long walk. Maybe he misplaced it while rushing. He didn't know. He only had 4. His throat tightened. His eyes burned. He whispered to the cashier, I'm sorry. I can't take these. Maybe just the eggs." The cashier looked at him sadly. "Sir, the eggs alone are still $3.80. Mark nodded, ashamed. He removed the rice. He removed the eggs. He removed everything. Finally, he whispered, "It's okay. I'll come back another time." As Mark turned to leave, quietly, slowly, trying not to break, someone behind him spoke. A calm, steady voice. "Wait." Mark froze. A man in his late 50s, wearing a simple jacket and holding a loaf of bread, stepped forward. "I saw what happened," the man said gently. "Please, let me take care of it." Mark shook his head quickly. No, sir. I can't let you do that." He forced another smile. "I'm fine, really." The man looked into his tired eyes. "Son, you don't look fine." Mark's heart trembled. Still, he tried to walk away. Too embarrassed, too broken. But the stranger placed a soft hand on his shoulder. "My name is David," he said warmly, "and God sent me here today. I don't know what you're carrying, but he told me to help you." Mark swallowed hard. "No, sir." "You don't have to." But before he could finish, David gently placed all the groceries back on the counter. Not just the rice, not just the eggs, not just the milk. He added more. Fresh fruit, chicken, bread, cereal for the kids, medicine, even a chocolate bar. The cashier's eyes widened. Mark whispered, "Please, I can't let you spend so much." David smiled. Son, I'm not spending. I'm investing in you, in your family, in your tomorrow. Then he whispered the words that broke Mark completely. I'll cover it all. Mark covered his face with his hands. His shoulders shook. Tears fell from his eyes onto the counter. He wasn't crying because of the food. He was crying because someone finally saw him. Someone finally cared. Someone finally stepped in, exactly when he thought he couldn't take one more blow. Why? Mark whispered through tears. Why would you help a stranger like me? David smiled softly. Because 20 years ago, someone did the same for me, and I promised God that if I ever saw a man with the same look in his eyes, I would do for him what was once done for me. David helped Mark carry the groceries home. They talked as they walked, about life, about faith, about the silent struggles people hide. When they reached Mark's small house, Sarah came to the door surprised. Mark, all this how? Mark gently pointed to David. He helped us. He didn't even know our situation. He just helped. David smiled at her too. Ma'am, your family deserves a break, and I believe God wanted you to have one today. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, sir. We've been praying for someone to understand. David nodded. That wasn't me. That was him. He placed the bags at the door. Then he shook Mark's hand, looked him in the eyes, and said, You won't always be in this season. Better days are coming. Hold on to faith, even on the days when it feels impossible. Before leaving, he turned back once more. And when life becomes easier for you, help someone else. Pass it forward. That's how miracles continue. Mark stood at the door long after David walked away, holding his wife's hand, feeling something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. That night he cooked a warm meal for his kids. He prayed with his family, and as he watched his children laugh at the dinner table, he whispered, Thank you, God, for sending someone when I needed it the most. Sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change someone's world.